The Graphic Histories Podcast.
I got bit by a radioactive bug. I tried an experimental drug. Went up for a stroll on a gamma testing range. I found an enchanted hurricane. I made a serum that made me small. I modified the serum so it would make me tall. Radioactive isotope in my eyes. Dying alien helped me accessorize. I gained the proportion and strength of a spider. Now I'm invincible and I can fly. I lost my sight, my other senses were heightened. I'm gonna put on my pajamas and go fight crime.
Hey there, and welcome to the Graphic Histories Podcast. My name is André, your podcast host. Big thanks to Google the Mock for our theme song, Superpowers. And big thanks to you, gentle listener, for tuning in once again to another episode. You like my radio voice? That was my attempt at it. Do I sound like I'm on old-time radio? Today, we have a super fun episode with a super interesting guy. James Higgins, also known as Higgypop, on his YouTube channel. We get into the genesis of how this conversation came to be. It was sort of a mix-up where Davin had thought that he had booked a different person, but we had got another guy with the same name. And upon finding that out, I, of course, did a little dive into the guy that I was talking to. If he was related to comics and did his own thing on YouTube, had this fun channel where he kind of goes through the things that he collects and the back issues he tracks down and celebrates, you know, his fandom and comics in general. And it was very interesting. After checking out a few of his episodes, I thought, well, you know, let's chat with him too. So, full disclosure, I do tell him that happened, and we have a great conversation about it. But he's a super fun guy, very energetic, very entertaining. You know, when you meet people that, like, celebrate their fandom unabashedly, that are just so happy to have a community to discuss the things they love, to really get into that world and are not ashamed of it. And it's really refreshing. It's nice. And it's sort of infectious. It sort of makes you a little prouder of your fandom, of your love for your nerdy things, and you know, emboldens you to go out and celebrate it a little more. And James is definitely one of those guys. So it was really cool talking to him. Great conversation. And we really get into the root of, I guess, the collector's bug when he came back to it, and how he sort of found this sprawling, wonderful community online that sort of support him and all of his crazy endeavors and some of the characters and goofy stuff he does on the show, which is all lovely. It's great. And yeah, you know, celebrate the fun. We talk about that quite a bit, that everything doesn't need to be dark and broody and depressing, and that happy and hopeful is important too. And in times like ours, which can be increasingly troubling, it's important to focus on the hope. You know, I'm hopeful that I'll have a good summer. Seems like it's coming around. Out here in our neck of the woods, it is now into pretty warm summer season. It happened pretty fast. So now we're getting these beautiful summer days, and my deck and a nice book are calling me. So I think that's something I'm going to be doing very soon. As these episodes are aired every Monday, sometimes I find myself in a bit of a time crunch. Today is one of them. It is Saturday. I generally try to not do too much work on Saturdays and Sundays. I do trivia on Sundays for a place I do trivia at. But, you know, I try to enjoy my weekends a little bit because I'm a gig guy. I have a lot of side jobs, and I'm also busy a lot. And often I have to wrestle or something on a Saturday, and this is one of those days I do not. So I'm going to go enjoy it. So while I'm off enjoying that, just imagine me sitting on my deck with maybe a cigar, maybe a whiskey or a nice gin, and a book. And imagine me doing that right now. Well, this time after this. And, yeah. And you enjoy this episode. So here it is, my chat with James Higgins from Higgypop Comics on YouTube. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, Andre. How are you?
Oh, good, James. Good to have you on the show.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you as well. Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Connecticut.
Ah, okay. I don't have much of a sense of Connecticut. I guess as a wrestling fan, I'm familiar with Stanford.
A wrestling fan. Oh, of course.
Well, I actually am a professional wrestler. Like, I do that as a side gig. So, you know, I'm familiar with the WWE side of things and all that stuff. So,
There's a lot of local wrestlers around where I grow up, and I don't know if it's the whole Stanford thing, but it's like it's a thing.
yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it's like the whole, like, headquarters are there. Like, a lot of their big stuff all happens around there. Seems
Like
like
in my town, the Guerrera family grew up. I don't know if like The Rock is part of the Guerreras. That was his family, and there's it's tons of family. I mean, it's just a thing. Everyone knows someone who was a wrestler around here. Everyone has stories. I played football with people that were wrestlers, and it's
Yeah.
just.
Awesome.
I gotta ask you, how did you find out about my channel?
You know what's funny? Full disclosure, there's a guy. I have a guy that helps me out with getting guests, and
The guy that reached out to me,
yeah,
probably.
Davin, yeah. So he had reached out to you because he thought you were someone else, and then there's another guy named James Higgins who's like does stories for like he does instructing about comics and stuff. And I'm guessing
Yes.
he discovered him through something. And then when I started talking to you, I realized you were the same person. I looked up your stuff and I was like, I told Davin, I said, I think you contacted the wrong guy. I said, but he seems really cool and his channel's really fun. And he obviously loves comics. So I'm just going to roll through and keep talking to him. So
I knew something was up.
I mean, I
Thanks
was
for
like,
being honest with me.
yeah, no problem. No, but like
And you are a Boy Scout. I mean, you Canadians, you are true blue, man.
we try our best.
You know,
Um,
if all else fails, I was just gonna yell out the name Guy Lafleur.
he's one we're familiar with, yes.
Yes. It's
Or,
funny, man. It's funny because my local ice rink in town,
mhm.
they are our Zamboni driver has been missing for weeks, man.
What,
And
like literally missing? Like no one knows where he is, or he just hasn't showed up to do
well,
the.
I just got. We hope he resurfaces.
Okay.
Oh my God! I tell you what. Oh man.
Oh shit! I can't believe I walked into that.
Right into it.
That's perfect. That's very nice. Oh
But
man.
yeah, that's pretty much. You know, if you want, let's see.
Well,
I could I could sing you a song real quick. Ready? Because
sure.
I do a harmonica song at the end of all my videos,
Hmm.
and I wrote one for your
Oh
podcast.
shit! Oh, let's hear it. I'd love to hear it.
All right, all right. Thank you to Graphic Histories Podcast. We really are gonna have a blast. It was great to talk to André. You can't have this much fun unless you pay. His podcast is off the chart. So read your comics because they make you smart. That's about it.
Bravo! Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
Awesome. Well, I mean, let's get into it. So, when did you discover comics? When did it become a thing?
Well, I tell you, um, I discovered comics through a cousin of mine who
Hmm.
was him and his brother. They on that side of the family, they were very into comics, and I was like, "You geeks," you know. But I was very young. I was like, 11 when
Hmm.
I picked up my first comic, and because I would say I was born in '74,
Hmm.
and uh, and I got into Conan, which
Uh,
is something you hear a lot. Everyone once that first Conan movie came out, that was because I was very self-conscious as a kid, and
mhm.
I saw Conan. I'm like, this guy, he doesn't have a self-conscious problem. This guy here. So I like that. And then through my cousin, I found out Marvel makes Conan comics.
Mhm.
Blew my mind, right? So
That's funny. I don't hear Conan come up that often, actually. Not when I talk to
really,
people, but yeah.
I guess I gravitate towards people that have the same you know origin story. But
Yeah.
Conan was the starting point, and I don't know if you do watch my channel, I'm a big Hawkman fan,
Hmm.
and I gravitated. I started with Marvel,
Hmm.
right, and John Buscema, and you know um, all those guys, Roy Thomas, and the whole world. I just got wrapped myself around it,
Hmm.
and I remember, on my channel, I told this story. I went to my first Comic Con. It was in New Haven, Connecticut. I live in East Haven, Connecticut, right?
Okay.
New Haven, known for its pizza,
Hmm.
and so they had a Comic Con. So we're talking about 1985 or so, and that blew my mind seeing these comics, right? Because I did have a comic shop I would go to. My mom would bring me there. had my paper route. So I spent all my paper route money on comics, and I found Conan issue number 2. I was like, look at this,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And I spent $50 on it, right? And
Wow.
and it probably wasn't a good deal back then, but for me, not knowing any better and no parental guidance, I went with my cousins, and they were
Mhm.
supposed to watch over me.
Well, fifty
When I got
dollars in like
home,
85 money, that's significant. Like it's,
right, right.
yeah,
But I thought, hey, who cares? You
yeah.
know. And I got home. And my dad came home. He's like, "Well, what'd you do?" I said, "I went to a Comic Con." He's like, "What the heck's that?" And I said, "I got this. How much did you pay for that?" Right? I said, $50. He pulled out my spine and combed his hair with it. I'm like, look out, look out. So that was a little lesson on economics from
Yeah.
the old man. You know what I'm saying?
Do you still have that comic? I feel like they're probably
Oh,
worth something
yes, I
now.
do.
Oh, wow.
I
And
do
what's the
indeed.
value of that comic now?
Geez, well, it all depends on, this stuff called grading.
Oh, yeah. I don't buy into that so much. I don't know.
Me neither.
Yeah.
That's one of my gimmicks. I say I grade my comics from whoa minus to whoa plus. They're all I don't go for as long as I can read them, I'm down. And I like the complete runs,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I like to finish them up. So who knows? I would say Conan issue number 2. I mean, you could get it for a good $80 to 100. I mean, if people that care about
Yeah.
the condition, you could go up to as much as you want to pay, pal.
I was
Believe
hoping it
me.
was like in the thousands. You can go back to your dad and be like,
Yeah,
you
in your
know,
face.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. It seems like that's like any of the comic fan, that's like they always have these horrible stories about they had a huge stack of comics their parents threw out, and they had like,
I
Spider-Man
know.
#1, or a lot of people around
Boy.
my age group are always like, like I had Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man #1, and that's gone. And I'm like, everybody thinks that that book's worth a lot of money. It's really not. They
Yeah.
printed off like 100 million of them, so they're everywhere.
Yeah,
But
everyone has a story of a loss in their
oh
life
yeah,
with comics, between moving or divorces or
or a flood
whatever
in the
happens.
basement, or it's
Yeah, I
always
mean,
something.
house fires. You hear
Yeah.
all sorts of horror stories.
Yeah, and it's always
Uh,
like I had Amazing Fantasy #15, but my mom threw it out when I was a teenager, and it's like, like
yeah,
it's so insane.
I started getting back into collecting heavily, probably in like 2007 or so.
Really,
And yeah,
what
and
brought you back? So, what like you just got away from it as you grew up, or
I got away from it. It's just yeah, it's just whatever, I
hmm
mean, I always loved it, but I got
hmm
away from it. And things happen in life, but I wanted to recapture that innocence of yesteryear.
hmm
And what happens when I started buying, trade paperbacks, right?
Oh yeah,
Um, and that's what really got me locked into DC. And I'm reading these trade paperbacks because I like the teams, like the old school teams, like the JSA, the Justice Society.
hmm
So I started getting some of those, like the Jeff Johns took over the
yeah.
Justice Society,
That's a
and
good time to come back to them. There's
and I'm
an
telling you,
amazing.
and I was like, my God, these storylines, these creators are on top of their game, man. It's like reading a script to a movie. I said, it's really changed.
hmm
I said, I missed out on a lot. So I have like a whole library of trade paperbacks. And finally, I'm like, I started getting the single issues and I started really building up my collection. Now it's completely out of hand and it's insane, but it's fun,
Yeah.
It definitely is a passion. And
Well, it's the thrill of the
that's
hunt, I
it
find.
is. That's what
Yeah.
I'm all about. People have like, hey, man, I got a great deal. If you go talk to this guy, I said, I like to find them in the wild.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. You
I
know,
say the exact same thing because you can buy almost anything on the line,
yeah,
and
you go online or something. Yeah,
yeah, and like through eBay or Amazon or whatever. But
believe me,
sometimes,
I do it. I do it, but only if I have to.
yeah, yeah, I'm like that. Well, I'm not always like. Sometimes something comes out, I'm like, I definitely want to grab that because I collect a few things like records, and I collect movies
Right.
like Blu-rays and stuff,
Yeah.
and like but comics too, and
Yeah.
books. Like I got a lot. So, but yeah, like
I
I
love
always
I
say,
love
it's nice finding them
yeah.
in the wild.
I love all that stuff from the 70s and the 80s because I'm the youngest of like 5 kids.
Oh wow.
And I was growing up. I just want to recapture that time when we were all in the house at the same time,
Mhm.
Andre,
Yep.
and all my older brothers had all the great albums, all the great stuff, and they were playing D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. The house was alive and
Mhm.
awesome, and I'm the youngest from a far span too. There's a
Mm.
gap there. I was like a mistake. You know how it is. I
Oh
was a
yeah.
mistake kid. And then at one by one, I saw them all leave the house. They all left me, man.
Yeah.
So I'm left with this two old people, my parents, with an empty house with just all the cool stuff, with just without the people,
Hmm.
all the albums, all the stuff. And I'm like, I was like, where is everyone? So I just love all that stuff from that era. I just want
Yeah.
to, like, if you see I turn my garage into this is where I film my videos.
Your
I call it
Hawk's
the
Nest.
Hawk's Nest.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's like I'd say like a Pee-wee's Playhouse on meth. It's crazy. It's just all,
I think Pee Wee's Playhouse was a Pee Wee's Playhouse on meth.
I think you're right. When I go back and watch it, I think that's what it was. But
No, but I get it. Like it's funny because as you age, I'll be turning 40 this year. It's sort of like you look back at like these halcyon days of yore, right? When like everything was at its peak, you were at your happiest. And I know there's like
yeah,
lots of sort of studies to show that like when you're a kid, you produce more dopamine, so all the highs are much higher, all these
yeah,
sort of things. But there's some part of you that kind of looks back fondly on it, no matter whatever issues you're having at the time. It always seems like it was a better time.
right.
And
And that's another reason, like, I gravitated towards DC because it almost has that golden age
yeah.
storytelling too. Like, it's not all doom and gloom and everyone's bent out of shape like Wolverine.
Yeah.
It's like get over yourself, dude. I'm trying to bring a little joy into my life.
Yep.
And so I like that stuff. I like the cheese.
Mhm.
I like the cheesiness of it all. And
Well, but you're
I
right. It's like
collect.
a simpler era when, like, I had this conversation with someone recently about, I think it was Andor, like the Star Wars show. And I was saying how,
Sure.
like, on that show, it's all like, the rebellion is like full of these shady characters that are like pulling, like killing people that keep the secrets. And like, it's
Right.
all these hard choices and deep moral things. And I'm like, I don't
Everything's
know. Yeah. I'm
very
like,
dramatic.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I need that level of like I love complex stories, but I don't even know if I need that
Sure.
level of shades of gray in my Star Wars. Like,
Not all the time, man.
yeah, but that's what I liked about old DC too, and that's what I really like about it seems like the way the new movies are going is that we're getting back to a hopeful,
Yeah.
fun
Right.
thing that's not all just dark drama, dark
Right.
ridiculous drama where everyone's just Batman with a different costume. So
Right.
it's nice.
I Yeah, it's good to just not be so dramatic all the time. Not everything's a life and death decision.
Yeah, and like
Everyone's
the
on the
fun
brink.
days. And
Yeah.
Superman was like juggling planets and like, playing
Yeah.
with crypto and all this fun stuff. Like that's
Like Robert Plant said, does anyone remember laughter? So
definitely
so I just
the first Robert Plant quote we got on this podcast, I
there you go. And
think.
the but I didn't so I'm collecting comics, but
Yeah.
I definitely have no one to share it with. I'm a lone wolf out here with this comic collecting,
Hmm.
and but I loved watching these guys on YouTube, and there's this community. This is if anyone takes anything away from what we're talking about is I would love to stress the comic book community on YouTube
Hmm.
because it's something that was very welcoming, because I would watch these certain guys that collected, Silver Age and Golden Age and whatever. I don't really collect a lot of modern stuff. I collect Superman modern
Hmm.
and you know, nothing ever comes out for Hawkman, Andre. Just so you know, it's very
Yeah,
rare.
I feel
If
like
Hawkman comes out, they kill him off immediately. So
well, we got him in a movie. It wasn't a great movie, but
yeah, right, right.
you know what? I actually didn't mind that movie. I didn't think it was
I
that
gotta
bad.
say, I didn't
Yeah.
mind it either.
No, it wasn't like the way people shit on it. You think it was like the like
Uh,
I've definitely seen worse modern superhero movies than Black Adam. Like
right,
The
right.
Rock is just being The Rock as he always is, but I do think that they actually brought some interesting stuff to it. And like Doctor Fate and Hawkman, all those characters, Atom Smasher, were really
It's
fun. It
great.
was it was
Yeah,
fun
it's
seeing
fun.
them. Yeah,
And Hawkman was done well. I
yeah,
gotta say.
I liked his depiction of that. I guess we're getting Hot Girl in the new Superman movie, but that's
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. And I always get like a little unease in my stomach every time another movie comes out. I don't really watch a lot of those movies
mhm.
because I got turned off to them.
Yeah.
But I went to go see the Black Adam because Hawkman was in it. But I can't wait to see this Superman movie.
I'm very excited for it. I don't want to build it up too high, but like the comic nerd in me, which is a big part of me, is super excited about Fantastic Four and Superman. Like they
I
both
gotta tell
look
you,
amazing.
I got a crypto poster on my wall right now. It's a brand
Perfect.
new crypto poster, buddy.
I know, and like we get crypto in a movie, and like Metamorpho, and the Guy Gardner. Like we get all the fun, ridiculous '80s goofy kind of,
Yeah.
and it looks like but it'll be done with heart and with levity, and I know like All Star Superman and some of those other stories are big influences in this, and that's like my Superman story.
Yes.
Plus, Luthor
Yes.
looks great. They released toys where they're going to see him in the green armor, so I'm excited about
Yep.
that. Like, it all sounds so much fun. I don't know, we're gonna have
Oh,
some
yeah,
fun.
that hits me, man. All that stuff, that's right in my sweet spot. So I'm looking forward to it. That's one I'm definitely gonna go see. So
Oh yeah.
and so oh yeah, the comic book community. So there's
Mhm.
this like there's a guy, Dr. Silverage. I would watch his channel all the time, Andre. And
Mhm.
this guy Shannon, he had his channel's called Solid Force Bend, all the same stuff, Silver Age, DC, or even Marvel. I collect everything. Charlton, being from Connecticut, Charlton, that's where Charlton was based, Charlton
Oh, I didn't
Comics,
realize that.
and
That's awesome.
so I collect all that stuff, and I'm very fortunate. I mean, I fall off my front steps, I land in my LCS, my comic shop.
Hmm.
It's right down the street,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
talking to other people that are some people live in the boonies in all these other states. They don't really have. This is what I'm learning. They don't have a lot of access to comic book
Hmm.
stores or comics in general. So I think I take advantage of that.
Yeah. Well,
Hopefully,
they're
I
not
don't take it for
even.
granted.
Yeah,
You know,
that's important.
so I would be watching these guys throughout the years, and that was my connection to comic people. I didn't what I do for work. I'm a lineman for the utility company,
Oh,
and those
nice.
meatheads, they don't. I talk comics. They it goes nowhere, Andre.
Yeah.
Imagine
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm not a
I like.
wrestler like you, all right? I can't go into work and talk this stuff.
In my mind, I just imagine this like hilarious scene of like, you're all sitting on the with the lunch boxes open, and you're just like, "You guys read that new Hawkman issue?" And they all just
Yeah,
stop and look at you.
right. You see a tumbleweed go by. It's like, nah.
No, but
So
you represent to me like part of the beauty of why comics and like finding community online is such a, because there's a lot of negative communities you can find online, but it's very nice when you see people connecting through something positive, a love of art or love of comics or love of books.
and I tell you, even the comments I got, none of them were bad. I mean, I had it just channel for a little bit over two years. No bad comments, and all the other channels. Once I started, I mean, I don't know how. Oh, I know. I'll tell you how I started.
Hmm.
I uh I got injured at work. I had to get hernia surgery. All right.
Oh, geez.
So now I'm losing my mind. I'm home every day, and I was just down in the garage in the comic room here, and I had my phone in my hand. I said, I wonder how these guys do it. I hung my phone on the spinner rack, and I just start recording. I'm going through one of like the some Karate Kid series I had from the Legion of Superheroes. I'm like, yeah, this is, and then I taped it, and then I went to my wife because I'm mentally challenged with technology, and she's like, you got to join YouTube, you moron, and you got to do this, so I just put them up, and I said Higgypop Comics, right? My last name is Higgins. I put Higgypop Comics, and then nothing happened. My wife joined my channel, so 2 subscribers,
You
I'm
got two,
rolling.
yeah? You're dead. You're ready.
But then before you know it, these guys that I were watching, Dr. Silverage or so and so, they're commenting on me. I'm like, look at this. And then before you know it, I'm guest on their channel, bop, 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 beep, beep, beep. Who's mailing me books? I'm mailing. It's just very welcoming. And I
Yeah.
just want to say, if anyone is thinking about starting a YouTube channel about comics or anything that you are passionate about, do it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't do this 2 years ago. I'd
Yeah.
probably be just miserable. I probably would have stopped collecting or something. I don't know. Probably not. So what I do is I also draw. I'm a big sketcher. I
Nice.
sketch. So every time I do a show, I show my sketches. I do my, I show my whatever,
Hmm.
and it's a hoot. It's a hoot.
That's awesome.
So I recommend it to anyone that needs a little outlet or some community to
Hmm.
share your stuff. That's all we're doing. We're just sharing our stuff. We've all seen it before, but sometimes they haven't seen. I buy some very random. I look for the oddball stuff too.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that. Like, what are some of your standouts for some of the most interesting single issues you've managed to come across in your
Let's see.
travels?
I tell you, Herbie from ACG Comics. I just grabbed a bunch of those the other day.
Like
I don't know if you know
the
who.
fat kid, like with the
Yeah, the fat
glasses
guy.
and
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
Those are
fat wonder. Yeah,
strange, very strange books.
it's just a strange, and it's I just love that stuff because Shane O'Shea, that's the a pseudonym for who's that comic book creator? Oh, he doesn't even want to put his real name on it. He has a pseudonym. Look up Shane O'Shea, and and it's ACG Comics, and it's just great, just stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
those are.
I'm looking at my Heckle and Jekyll Dell comics. I love all the Toon comics too.
Oh yes,
And so all that stuff is fun. And of course, like I said, the sword and sorcery is fun. I went down big into the whole Conan rabbit hole. Like when I was a kid, when I found Savage Sword, you're familiar with
oh
Savage
yeah,
Sword.
oh yeah. Those are the
I
oversized
thought
books.
I thought I found something that no one else knew about, back when I was a kid. I was like, oh, black and white. I said, look at this. This is something no one does, and little did I know. But so I love all that, just the inking and the artwork of Savage Sword. And I'm a big, huge Joe Kubert fan.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah, I
just I
have
just love I love everything about Joe. It was just his story when he started professionally being an artist at the age of 12. Andre, come
yeah.
on,
I
you
have
know.
a few of those art books. Like I draw too, and I have some of those oversized, the art books where they do the full panel recreations.
Yep,
And I think I
yep.
have his Tarzan. I think I have one of those art books
Tarzan,
with
yeah,
his Tarzan run.
yep.
So yeah, beautiful stuff. I mean,
He
yeah,
was his story is just great. Like he was his buddy, his buddy's father was worked in which went on to become Archie Comics,
hmm
but I forgot what the company was called. And he says, "Yeah, send my dad your work." And he sent him his work, and then he took a bus into the city at the age of 12, and walking through all the studio with all the artists. They were like, "Yeah, this is how you sharpen your pencil. This is what you do." And he just started sending working at that age. 13, 14, 17, him and his buddy teamed up and they were doing work together. And he was still in high school. And those days will never come back,
yeah.
you know?
I know. Like I talk to a lot of folks like of all different levels and time in the business on the show. And when you talk to the guys that have been around, the older people that have been around, like they talk about like, oh yeah, took the bus, went to Marvel Studios, walked
Right.
around. Stan Lee was like playing a flute in his office or something, like
Right.
this guy was over here doing this, and they showed me how to do that, and they gave me a job. I just sat at my desk and I corrected, did backgrounds or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
like the days of that now, even the days of like taking like because then those guys eventually when you depending on the age of brackets go you talk to the folks that um went to conventions, took the portfolio to conventions and went and
Right.
did that. And
Right.
even those guys now are kind of gone. It's all like I got found on DeviantArt now or something like that, like
Yeah. I don't
which is
think you could take your portfolio and harass someone at a convention nowadays. It's like,
no, there's no one there to
yeah,
harass. They don't go and like
right.
to review portfolios anymore. I mean maybe they still do, but I don't imagine it's as big as it used to be.
A guy that lives across the street from my mother, he my friend Chuck, he's an older fellow,
Mhm.
and he'd done everything under the sun. He was a lawyer, a doctor. I mean, you talk to this guy, but when he was going through college over here in New Haven, he was Wally Wood's assistant,
Oh wow.
meaning
Wow.
meaning Wally was in his hard drinking part,
Yeah.
not his best shape, and he would go to Wally's house, pick him up, make sure he had what he needed as far as booze or whatever, and
Yeah.
drive him to Charlton Comics. And he would walk through the halls of Charlton Comics with him, and whatever. Then drive him home at the end of the day. And he's got some good stories, and I love that stuff.
Yeah,
Just
well, that's it, right? And like, I mean, Charlton has quite a legacy too, and that's cool that you're collecting those because they're probably pretty hard to find. Um,
they are
I
they're hard to find in good shape, but I find the war comics from Charlton. I mean, they published so much stuff, and it's laughable how cheaply. it's printed and stuff. Pages are sideways or something. But that's just the way they did
Well,
it.
even like the legacy of them, because DC bought them out, and then Alan Moore
Mm.
was going to do the Watchmen about those characters, but then they changed the concept and he just made
Yeah,
analogs. But
yeah,
even like John Cena's Peacemaker, like he's a Charlton
yes.
character.
Blue Beetle.
Yeah,
I mean, those are great characters, man.
yeah,
They
yeah.
really are.
I had a
And
gentleman.
DC did a good job with a lot of those characters, and when done right, they're fun reads.
Hmm.
And sometimes it gets out of hand, but if you get a good writer that keeps it close to the what that character would do in a
Hmm.
situation and what the character really is like, it's done well. But
Yeah, what do you feel about like when they try to like? It's a fine line when you take like the classic kind of happy stories and you try to like inject a little bit of reality in them.
yeah.
Sometimes they go really,
You
really
said
far.
Peacemaker.
Yeah,
Peacemaker. I mean, that show Peace with John Cena.
yeah,
It's fun, obviously, right?
yeah. It's a great
But
show.
that's not the Peacemaker from
No, no, no,
Charlie.
no,
No
no,
way.
no. His dad was a Nazi. I mean, they kind of,
Right.
sort of make him a white supremacist. He's basically kind of
Right.
the same world, but
Right.
no, he definitely was a lot more of a serious character. But you kind of look at how that character's designed, and like, especially in a modern day format, and be like, well,
Yeah.
how, how serious can we take this guy? Look at he's got a toilet seat on his head.
Right.
But,
But
but
that's what drew me to him. I saw that art. I was like, look at that helmet. I said, that's fantastic. But then whatever. I'd say whatever a year ago or something. DC started another thing with Peacemaker,
yeah, they just
and
kind of
I
made him
couldn't
like
I
he was in the
couldn't I
show.
I couldn't read it. I was like, no, no, I
Yeah,
can't do it, man. But
yeah, they
they
really
made him yeah,
they made
a
him
little
like he
too
was in the
goofy.
movie. Yeah, well, they just
They're
matched the show instead of.
Yeah, and they're trying a little too hard with the goofiness, and that's not the character,
Hmm.
in my mind. But I don't know how these guys, as far as listen, I don't take nothing away from these writers. I don't know
Mhm.
how they do it, Andre. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
I mean it's all been written before, but so I
yeah.
give them props, all these writers. But
Well, when you
I
feel
really
like,
enjoyed like James Robinson.
yeah,
Um,
oh yeah, yeah, he
he
has a
does a
real
great
reverence.
job. Yeah,
Like
and
the Starman, and like what is sort of paying homage to that.
fantastic.
Yeah, 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 it's beautiful. But like I feel like it goes one way. Like I when I think of like kind of the fun not goofy, but the fun sort of bright, hopeful Silver Age, and then like when they try to inject some reality into it, I think of like Alan Moore's Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. So that like that
Yeah,
gets dark, but not, but it's still, I don't know, it still feels like it belongs in that realm. But then you
he
get
has a
like,
way of making it work. Yeah,
yeah, but then
yeah,
you get in that realm like when they had like Booster Gold, or they had like Maxwell Lord shoot Blue Beetle in the head
yeah,
and
yeah,
kill him. Like I talked to
yeah,
J.M. DeMatteis on the show, and we were
yeah.
talking about that, and he said, well, that's not my character. Whatever my Blue Beetle, my Maxwell Lord, like that's not them. That's somebody else's story with the same name. In his mind, he
Whatever.
sort of
Yeah,
dissociates that way. But it's like as fans, it always
right,
seems like they're trying to shock you by doing something insane with like
right.
or identity
It's
crisis and having Ralph Dibny's wife get raped. Like it's
yeah.
crazy.
I tell you what. I mean, they're all great stories still, but you make
Yeah.
a very valid point. I mean, it's very blunt force reading right there.
Well, it makes you wonder, like, there are dark comics that are made to be dark comics, and sometimes
Yeah,
it's like they don't need to necessarily make a normal comic into something that it's not,
right.
just to shock people, right? It seems like that's something they do fairly often.
Speaking of shocking, up there in
Mhm.
Nova Scotia, have you seen Bigfoot, Andre?
I haven't seen him yet. From what
Are
I
you
understand,
trying?
I
I
would
mean,
love
come
to.
on.
I would love to. I think he's supposed to be more on the other side of Canada. I think he's like in the British Columbia area. I
I don't
think
know. I
because
think he
that's.
has. They have a lot of summer homes. I heard in Nova Scotia.
Oh
No,
well,
for
yeah.
Bigfoot.
Well, I think I do a lot of jobs. One of them is I'm a trivia host, and
Oh,
I think one of my trivia questions was what U.S. state reports the most Bigfoot sightings.
Washington.
Yeah, it's Washington. Yeah, so
Yeah,
and that's
it's not Connecticut. I know that. Yes,
yeah.
they mistaken some Armenian guy walking across Main Street as Bigfoot yesterday, but
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah, I'm a hairy guy. If I was in the woods with a shirt off, maybe someone could see it as such. But nothing yet, nothing yet. But I'm keeping an
So
eye out. I
how
want to
was it
believe.
interviewing DeMatteis? I mean,
And it's funny. I learned how to say his name correctly by talking to him because I always thought it was Dematius, but it's he correct.
DeMatteis.
Yeah, Dematius.
Yeah.
Very interesting. It's very wild growing up reading comics. The things that sort of shape you, and then you get to talk to these people. And
Yep.
there's a point. I talked to Mark Russell, who's a newer comic writer. He did that newer kind of Flintstones comic a few years ago,
All right.
and which was really really good when like DC made all those like Hanna-Barbera characters and redid
I
them
love
and
it.
yeah. So the Flintstones one was really good. Then he did like the Superman Space Age comic, which I love dearly. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome book.
Yeah, and so when I talked to him, a friend of mine listened in. And he said there's like one point. He said he kept it together for almost the entire interview, but there's one point where I was just like kind of fanboying out a bit much about like, remember when he did this? That was cool. Uh, so like
Yeah.
I try to like keep that in check. And when I talked to DeMatteis, I was a big fan of Moonshadow, which was like one of his first books.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like in the Craven the Hunter story, and like
Great stuff, man.
yeah, all that wonderful fun Justice League like stuff. Like they really brought. Say what you want about that era of the Justice League. I mean, it was goofy,
Yeah.
but it was fun, and like that's the beauty of comics. Everything's goes in a circle. Eventually,
Yeah.
you want a
Especially
serious
looking
thing, you
back.
get this.
Looking back, you realize how it was goofy, but it was very fun, you know?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Fun is
Right.
great, and
Yeah.
it's also like if you look at like you had like the serious Justice League that fell apart, then you get the kind of fun one, and then that sort of ends when Doomsday shows up and kills Superman, which gets super
Right.
dark again. Like it all sort of
Yeah.
goes, it all like goes.
You got the peaks and valleys, man. Peaks and
Yeah,
valleys.
yeah, and like I don't know, like anybody, I want good stories. If it makes sense, and
Right.
I love it. Batman's been a thousand different characters over the years, a thousand different
Right.
versions of Batman.
Right.
And I guess whenever they do the one that you like the most, it hits home a little. When it seems more like the
Yeah.
character or the version you want.
You even got someone like Spider-Man. I had to stop reading Spider-Man, I'd say probably like 20 years. I mean, I can't keep up with it, you know. All these different Spider-Man. And of course, you talk to the younger generation. They're all over it like a bum
Yeah,
on a ham sandwich. They'll
yeah,
tell you all about them.
yeah,
And they're telling me these stories. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. They're
yeah.
like, yeah, the Ben, Spider-Man, Doc Ock Spider-Man. I was like, whoa. I don't know, man.
Well, that's what with DC is they keep reinventing their history every so often, and Marvel kind of still, in essence, has the same continuity. So you got
Yeah, we
like,
got the multiverse, buddy, you know?
yeah, but even like I mean, Marvel does too, but even the various crises they do where
Oh
they
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
restart again over and over
yeah.
again.
Some of them I just skip entirely. I'm like, I'm gonna sit this one out. You got it.
Well,
You got it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I am a Spider-Man fan. I do read the comics, and you can probably see the tattoos peeking out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the like sometimes what I hate is when comics do the big event where they're like maximum it's not maximum carnage but like minimum carnage or something they did, and then it's like then it runs through all of the Spider-Man books, and
All the
like
crossovers. Yeah,
yeah, and it's like you're reading a regular Spider-Man comic, and then one issue in the middle of a story arc is about something completely
right,
different that you have no idea what it is, and it's
right. Yeah.
yeah, I hate when they do that.
I think they expect you to chase them all down too, and that it
Well,
just ain't gonna happen.
well, that's the point of all the restarts is they want all these new number ones out, so everybody's clamoring.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like as a collector, I don't feel like maybe you can comment on this, but I don't feel like the collector's market is that insane anymore. Like I don't think people are buying all the lenticular covers, but they do put out a ton of variant covers now. So like
There's a
it's
lot of variant covers, and people are just there's people out there that's their thing. That's their thing.
but
They're
is there a
into.
market? Like are they buying it to resell or is it just they want to have all of them? Or both,
I
I guess.
think I think it's the collectors collect them to have them, but
Mhm.
I think there's got to be people out there that probably resell them too. I mean, but I know collectors that they love those covers, man. And they eat them up.
Well,
I was just at
it's
my local shop this morning. I'm not this morning after work, and
yeah,
some new person because it's like an old Western saloon. A stranger walks in, everyone's like, "Who's that?"
yeah.
This young kid comes in, he buys all modern books, and he had a stack, and beep 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 beep, punch them out. Over $200 worth.
Oh
They're
yeah,
all modern books, and
yep. $5
that's
each. It's crazy.
oh yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
mind blowing to me. I would not on modern books. I don't spend over $20, but this and then when he leaves, ding ding ding, he leaves, right? The owner looks at me, he's like, "Do you believe that?" I was like, "Not really, no." But but hey, who knows what people like? I mean, you buy what you like and love what you buy, it's just
Yeah.
that's what people collect.
Vote with your dollar, as my friend always says.
Yes.
Every
And
time I had another friend, we had a mutual friend that used to be very like adamant. He was kind of very much he kind of believed the world should have stopped in the 80s, like 89, nothing, like everything good came out
I
before 89. And
yeah,
yeah,
I
I'm
could
sure you
get
could
on
really,
board with that sometimes.
yeah. So we often would like, he would complain about like why would they do this or why would they do that, and my friend who's very much a capitalist, like owns a bunch of pharmacies, like a very rich guy. He's very rich now, but at the time he was sort of building his empire. Now he's like a millionaire, and he's just like, for money. That's why anybody does anything. It's for money. You vote with your dollar. Like if you don't like these Transformers movies, don't go. Like if everyone who didn't like them stopped going, they'd stop making them. Um,
Economics, I guess. He doesn't probably understand why you're a wrestler, Andre. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, he has passion. He's a comic guy too, so he's got it. But it's for me, it's like with the wrestling, and I do some acting. It's sort of I like the
Yeah.
performance angle of it, right?
So
Obviously, it's a
that's
good reason to stay in shape too, and all that stuff. But
absolutely. As far as the 80s, I'm stuck in the 80s myself. I don't have a mullet per se, but
well, you can bring it back.
if you visit the channel, I I do the cheesier the better. I don't edit. I just run the phone,
Yeah.
and I make all the scenes from Rocky.
Well,
I
you're
just did
very
one.
energetic. It's for sure.
I just did last week. I did a scene from Rambo. The scene. This
The
is
first one,
this.
First Blood, the first one.
I did a scene from that before, but
Okay.
last week was Rambo 2, where he goes, Murdoch, I'm coming to get you. So I got to get all that stuff out of my system. I do a lot of Conan
That's
scenes. In my videos, I dress up. I dress up like lots of people. I dress up like I'm a big John Travolta nut.
nice.
And
Staying Alive or Saturday Night Fever or both?
both. And
Okay.
welcome back, Cotta. What?
Oh,
Where?
yeah, that's really good.
And
Yeah.
through my videos, every time I do a series of comics, like I dressed up as Warlord, Ragman, Adam Strange,
Nice.
Conan. Obviously, I got the Conan wig. I got the Conan when I do unboxings. I use my Conan sword.
Hmm.
And I have a partner here in the Hawk's Nest, Red Sonja. She never gets on camera, but she's always here. She hands me my sword,
Hmm.
and she lives here. She does some gardening and such. I hold my random Justice Society meetings here,
Nice.
Hawkman is the chairman of the meeting. I have
Well,
my
I have to
Hawkman
ask,
outfit.
what was like what drew you to Hawkman? Like of all the heroes, he's not one that comes up that often as like one that I see a lot of like I see lots of ephemera behind you of it. You call your garage the Hawk's Nest, and obviously you have such an affinity for the character. I'm just curious where that affinity comes from because he's not one that's ever really in the conversation too much when it comes to major
No, he's
superheroes.
not.
But and
I
no fault of his, he's a cool character.
He is a cool character, and they really, really drilled down on his origin story. The last, I think it must have been in 2018 or something. That last run
Mm-hmm.
with Hitch, and great job. And I loved it because first of all, Joe Kubert, right? And and I remember that cartoon as a kid. He only had like 4 episodes where it was just a Hawkman cartoon where
Mm-hmm.
he had his little hawk buddy, Screech or whatever the
Yeah.
hawk was. These things stand out in my mind, in my memory. And I just gravitate towards those. They call them B or C list heroes. I love them. I love all those heroes. I'm like, what are they doing? You know, we see Batman, he's a hog.
Yeah.
He's in every title, we see Superman, we see all these other guys. I said, what's Hawkman doing? And so I ate it all up because he's like Conan with wings in my
Yep.
eyes.
Oh yeah, I could say. I guess I never thought about that, but he is very barbarian-esque. The big axe
And
and
but when you look into Hawkman, he's also like especially from the Silver Age, he's like Indiana Jones,
Mhm.
because he's an architect, has his own museum, he's a curator, and there's many different things that happened to Hawkman. He was an alien cop,
Hmm.
this and that. Yeah, I just stuck through it all, baby. And and then of course, people are like Hawkman's stupid. Well, you can't understand it. Then you have to defend him. So
Well,
that
here's
was my life,
he
defending
did.
Hawkman.
That's a great. Oh shoot, that's a great. That's a great like autobiography title. He's defending Hawkman.
That's it. I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna start writing it. Defending Hawkman. But I tell you that like that's run with Hitch and all that. They did a great job. What they say is because they always say he has reincarnated life,
Yeah, that's
Carter
what I
Hall,
like. That's the interesting part of his origin that doesn't come up a
right?
lot.
But they said he was like an Egyptian god, Khufu or something. What do
Yep,
you got? A leg cramp there,
I do
Andre?
actually. Oddly enough, I do. I'm going to stand up.
Stretch it
Oh,
out, man.
I don't
Stretch
know
it
what I
out.
did to it, but it's friggin' bothering me real bad. Sorry,
So
go ahead.
on that hitch run, they said he doesn't just reincarnate through time, he reincarnates through time and space. Okay.
Okay.
And it all originated back at the creation of time. He was in Carter Hall, the original, was an avatar for what was he doing? He was like a killer of they used him. He was working for a god, killing planets and stuff like that, killing people and ba ba ba. But then he came to his senses and says, "I'm not doing that anymore." So now he was has to suffer this fate of reincarnating through time and space until he saves enough lives as that he killed as he was that when he was that avatar.
But
So
doesn't the Shadow Thief play into that or something too? Isn't he part of that, or is that just the Justice League Unlimited cartoon? I feel like there's something that they
well, the
incorporated
Shadow
into
Thief
that.
is one of his old one of his oldest enemies.
Yeah, but I feel like he was in some version of that origin story had him be part of that origin somehow. I can't remember. He was
He
destined to keep killing them or something, right?
yes, he was in there.
Yeah.
And so he had to save as many lives as he killed when he was that evil
Oh,
avatar,
that's a really cool way to do it.
which is cool. So then now when he reincarnates through time and space, that also means he like there was a Carter Hall from Krypton. So there
Mhm.
he was like
Right.
a
Oh
Kryptonian
yeah.
Carter Hall. There was, so it was very interesting, very well done. And of course, it ran 29 issues and then Kaputsky.
Ah. Well, still, that's in modern day comics, 29 issues is a pretty solid run.
I'll take it, you know.
Well, yeah, no, I
So now
remember the way
they
he was.
left it as, let me just
Oh, yeah, go
finish up.
ahead.
They left
Yeah.
it as he's not supposed to be able to reincarnate anymore. So he was left as Hawkman with Shira, Hawkwoman, in the Justice League with their final lifetime to live out. So
Oh, that's
that's
awesome.
how they left it. Yeah. So
Okay, that's very cool. Yeah, I was trying to piece it together a little bit because, like, when I was young, the Justice League Unlimited cartoon I wasn't quite, yeah, like I was a teenager, but I really, really dug the cartoon.
yeah.
And then when they got to like the Hawk World invasion,
Right.
then
Right.
they brought in all that stuff. It was and they had Hawk Girl with Green Lantern, and that all was kind of interesting.
Yes, that
Um,
is interesting. Yeah.
yeah, so it was
That would
very
never
cool.
happen though. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, there's a tragedy to that too because like the that version of Carter Hall, which didn't obviously get as elaborate of a story, was like destined supposedly destined to be with her, but she was in love with someone else, and
Right.
there's this sort of kind of Shakespearean tragedy at work there.
Yeah. Even
Um,
in the Jeff Johns version of the JSA, Hawk Girl was not falling for this whole weird reincarnated lovers. This new Hawk Girl was
that's a lot
not
of pressure
it.
to put on a girl.
Well, hey,
Yeah,
I mean, accept it, will you, Shira? But she
yeah.
wouldn't accept it. But that was done very well too. But that Justice League Unlimited cartoon, they definitely just focused on Hawk Girl,
Yes.
and Hawkman was kind of like an afterthought.
Well, he was only, I think, really featured in that storyline.
Yeah.
So I think they ended
Right.
season two with that, and then sort of
Yeah.
when they went to Unlimited and they went from just Justice League Unlimited, it's when they start
Right.
bringing in all those other characters, which is kind of cool. But like that's why I thought it was interesting that you mentioned how much you like the B level, the B tier heroes, because One of my favorite episodes of that show is the one where the Just League is fighting some massive world-ending threat, but they make like Booster Gold and Blue Beetle do crowd
Yeah,
work or crowd control, and it's just
yeah. Booster, you're on crowd
yeah,
control.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
just them doing that, but then they run into some other horrible thing that's happening that they save the world in their own right. But it's just
yeah,
such a over there's a massive thing going on. You like eventually sometimes the hero falls in, they're all beat up, or Batman falls in and he's the composite Batman where he's half Batman, half Superman, and like you
yeah,
have no idea what this fight is or what's happening. But
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's just you'll never really get that full story. And then later on, they're all like, "That's the biggest battle of our lives," and we never saw any of it, right? Like that was such a, and that's sort of the beauty, and I can kind of see why, those sort of heroes would be a stand-in for people like us that love comics, because when you're growing up and you're not, loving comics doesn't now it seems like socially way more better than it used to be. But when you're a kid
Yeah,
of a certain
yeah.
age, it definitely wasn't seen as like the cool thing to be into comics. So
Right.
seeing the guys that are even lesser than the superheroes, like they're almost like the superheroes look maybe down on them, not necessarily, but you can
Yeah.
sort of relate to those characters. They're trying their best, but there may not be the football star or the
Right.
billionaire or whatever, right?
I just did a video on Booster Gold, and it's just it's on the Jeff Johns series. I think it had like whatever 48 issues, and it's a great series, I
Hmm.
gotta say, because it's just like a trip through DC history. Because he has it's after that New 52, and
Hmm.
he has to fix all the anomalies in time. All right. So he
Oh,
who
I
was it?
remember this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I,
Yeah.
I don't think
So
I read it, but I remember the concept. He was sort of, yeah, he was sort of the time cop in a
right.
sense,
So
like trying to
the
fix things.
right. So Rip Hunter,
Hmm.
who is he comes in and he's like, listen, Booster, I need your help. All right. And this is right at the time in Booster's life where he's like, I'm on the straight and narrow. I'm gonna be a hero. I'm not gonna showboat no more. Nothing for sponsorship anymore. I'm just gonna do it because it's the right thing to do.
Hmm.
And then that right in the beginning of the series, Justice League comes up. He's fighting some gang, right?
Hmm.
And the Justice League shows up and like, Booster, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just doing this to be a good guy. And they're like, cut it out. We don't want anything to do with you anymore. He's like, so they give him a trial run. They say, listen, Booster, you come back and meet us at the Justice League's headquarters, the satellite, in a week, and we're gonna vote and see if you could be a member of the Justice League. So he's all geared up and he's doing great all week. He's saving people from stopping bank robberies, pulling cats out of trees, right? He's like, I'm getting in the Justice League. Then Rip Hunter shows up, the Time Master. Booster, we need your help. I need you to go on this mission. We're gonna save all the anomalies. And he's like, dude, no, it's my time. I'm going to be a member of the Justice League. And he goes, listen, you're perfect for this. Everyone thinks you're a loser, and no one's going to expect you that you're going to be saving the world by fixing all these anomalies. Just do this. And he's like, Rip, no, it's my time. So he goes to the Justice League headquarters, and they're like, Booster, you're fantastic, right? And Batman presents him with a plaque and his membership badge, and he looks at the plaque, and the anomaly, it doesn't, it's supposed to say, Welcome to the Justice League, but he sees the anomaly is already starting. It says, Hal Jordan is dead. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, it's starting. So he does what Booster, he does what a hero would do. He says, I don't want this. I only was doing this to show you I can do it. And he throws it in Batman's face, and Batman's like, Booster, he's yelling at him, and Booster's like, shove it, right? And he does it. And he acts like the fool throughout the whole series because he's little do they know he's saving the world. Him and Rip Hunter.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh, that's
Booster
cool.
Gold.
Yeah.
Unsung hero, and he had to eat a little humble pie. And I loved it.
Yeah. No, that's lovely. It's a beautiful sentiment too, because it's like, the ultimate sacrifice. It's like all these sort of movies and stuff for like Spider-Man where you finally get the girl, but then you can't keep her around because she might get hurt. And then
I'm sorry, baby. I'm a lone wolf. Yeah.
yeah. I always talk about like because I'm a big Spider-Man fan about how like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies are so fucking depressing because like
Right.
I said like Spider-Man has like 80 years of continuity, and a lot of bad stuff happened over the 80 years. And when you cram them all into two movies, it just seems like an unending,
Right.
shitstorm of like of terrible stuff. And like,
Yeah, this
you know,
guy's
the
life is miserable.
well, the first movie, his girlfriend's dad dies, and his dying words are, "Don't date my daughter, you'll get her killed." What does he do?
Right.
He dates her anyway, and then the next
Right.
movie, he gets her killed. Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Like
yeah, yeah, he was
I didn't
right.
see that coming.
Poor Dennis Leary over there, just pleading with him on his deathbed not to date his daughter, and then he gets her killed. So
Yeah.
that's how it goes. But
So,
yeah,
so
it's nice to see someone waving the flag for the hopeful, bright.
I mean, and it's fun if you look at it that way. B and C list characters, it's fun to collect that too.
Yeah,
All right, you go out there and like with Marvel. I mean, you look at those B and C list characters. It's like um
I just
Black
complete.
Goliath, like Black Goliath.
Yeah,
I just finished his run, his
right. I
first series.
forgot he had
It's
his own
just
series, right?
and it's just or Black Lightning, all these just great stuff. And you look into them, I mean, the writing's great. I mean, you know, it's just little magic that's out there that people overlook.
I'll tell
And
you. I'll let
I dig
you.
it.
I assume you'll probably have know this, but there's a couple series that I kind of went out of my way to collect all of the old ones. One of them was Micronauts.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I there's a comic store here that was liquidating some of their old comics, and almost all of them, it was like I don't know, 50 cents an issue, and they had almost the entire run except for like five scattered issues. So I got it, and then I worked diligently to
get
find
the
the
other
five I
five.
needed, and I eventually
Yeah.
found them. But the one that I always really, really liked, and I don't feel it gets a lot of attention when looking back at old books, is Strike Force Morituri. Do you ever
Yeah,
collect those? Yeah. So
yeah.
Peter Gillis series. I think he
Well,
may.
I know because I just finished Micronauts up myself,
Oh
and
yeah, nice.
Gene Day was all over that with his, and he just worked his butt off on that series.
Hmm.
And Strike Force, I mean, I see him out there. It's something I always like. I should start getting that.
It should be. I think there's a rights issue, which is why they haven't done anything with it as far as like a movie goes. But it's a great concept for a TV show or a movie,
Yeah,
because it's like in the near future, aliens invade the Earth, and like the aliens aren't like super advanced. They're kind of like scavengers. They like go to
yeah,
planets and then take all the resource they can and then just move on. But they come to Earth, and the scientist figures out a process called the Morituri process, which gives you powers, but they'll kill you eventually. So you'll have like, maybe a year to live with these powers
yeah.
to help defend Earth from these aliens. So throughout the series, people
Is
either
it a
get,
voluntary process?
yes,
Who's getting
yes.
these powers?
Yeah,
Yeah,
people that volunteer.
yeah.
So throughout the series, people either die in battle or they'll say like, "Oh, it's my time," and they'll start glowing and then run off and explode. And so like throughout the run of the series, the roster changes quite frequently. It's only like
Sure.
30 something issues, and they had like a mini series that sort of wrapped it up. But it's a very interesting concept because
That is
like,
a cool concept.
yeah,
Yeah,
like you'd get to know these heroes and then they die, and then like you'd have to meet a new crop of people, and they'd all have different
yeah.
personalities, and it was
Don't
very
get
interesting.
attached to him.
Yeah, but and it was a darker concept, but I don't know, somehow it flowed in that like kind of fun, 80s sort of realm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But there's a
No,
lot of
that's
those
that.
sort of series, that come. I remember as a kid, I used to really pour over like when Wizard would do like, hey, look at these comics you probably never read that are well worth reading, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
I remember like I came to Camelot 3000 that way. I came to like Strikeforce
Great,
Morituri
great
that way.
series. Yeah.
Yeah, all these weird things that I know. Moonshadow, I think, was introduced to me by a friend, but that was in there.
And
Um,
the Camelot that really had like a dark side to it too, like those
yeah,
English writers have, and but it was so well done, you
yeah.
know.
Like it's the start of some of those dark, bringing some darkness, but not. Maybe it's like the what led us to this hyper dark version of some comics we have now. But the I often credit Squadron Supreme, like that miniseries, the one that the 12
Yep,
parter that was like the pre-Watchmen, like this is what
yep.
happens when if heroes really existed and they go too far and power and
That
tech and
was
that
that
sort
was
of thing.
pretty much the ground zero, the tip of the spear,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
You know.
And
Yep. That
he did such amazing work. That comic was so cool and well ahead of its time.
yeah, and the character development too was all there. They would really. let you learn about the character, what's in their headspace, and you know, and the storyline was good, you know.
Yeah. And just like all
So
this, the idea that like you can try with no matter how powerful you are, you can try to fix all the world's problems, but
right. I mean,
the
you're ham-handing it, you know, just
yeah,
forcing these issues, you know.
brainwashing people and everything else, right?
Right.
Like it's a fine line, right? Like I mean, you want order, but you also want freedom, and sometimes those two don't go super well together.
And they were like, listen, just trust us. Give us a little time. This will work.
Yeah.
So what? We brainwashed you.
Yeah. Well, that's why like I've never been a big fan of these like the Superman Injustice thing that's like, Justice
Yeah.
League things. So like I don't know, I don't want to believe in anywhere where Superman can
Turn on
become
you.
a fascist dictator. Like that's,
Yeah.
doesn't seem like the kind of, I don't want to believe in that world. I want my happy
No.
Superman. My
Right.
you know.
I mean, I get it. That's a good storyline, but it'll freak me out.
Yeah. Well, the world's scary enough sometimes, and having our heroes injected with all this real world stuff isn't always
Well,
the
that's
happy
what
thing.
happened. You see, the Joker. It's all Batman's fault. He never killed the Joker.
Yeah.
And the Joker killed Lois
Hmm.
and Superman's baby.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sent Superman off the deep end. You know, come on, man.
Yeah, I don't want to see him go off the deep end. I think he can. I think
You
he
know.
can. I think he'd find a way to hopefully endure. I don't know.
Yes, that's the challenge of of being a writer for Superman.
Yeah.
You see, you got to keep it, even though he's so powerful. That's the challenge.
Yeah. People
How
that
does he how
say.
does he come out on top without any body count? You know,
Mhm. Well, people that
I
say
love
that
it.
he's not interesting, I'm like, I can point towards 20 Superman stories off the top of my head that are probably very interesting, unique,
Yeah,
takes on it. A lot of them, it seems like they're mining a little bit for this new movie. But like the one where he fights the elite there, and it's
yeah,
like Truth, Just the American Way, that one. And
yeah.
all those sort of like All-Star Superman, Superman Space Age. Um,
Space Age, yeah,
yeah. Like it's
it's
an
great.
interesting kind of taking it back to its roots, and
And there was a series probably like 5 years ago, Superman Red, White, and Blue.
oh yes, yep.
So good, you
Yeah.
know, and it just shows you his morality
Mhm.
and how he doesn't judge people. You know, like he doesn't condemn a whole country because of one bad leader, or he
Mhm.
doesn't condemn a whole people because they scorn him because he's an alien or something.
Yeah.
And he doesn't judge people, and he just looks for the good in everything. And he's like the best version of what we can be. I
Yeah.
think that's what makes Superman so special.
Yeah.
And you know, I strive. If I listen, when I'm having a down day or I'm up against it, I put on a Superman t-shirt, Andre. You know what I'm saying? It helps. It
Perfect.
helps.
You're
You
right.
know,
No,
that's
that's
what
it.
comics mean to me. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
that's what helps me.
So
So
I'm assuming your Red Sonja you mentioned is supportive of your
she's no,
yeah.
definitely, definitely,
Ah,
yeah.
that's lovely. That's awesome. Well, but before I let you go, what is your like? Do you have a golden, like the Holy Grail, if you will, of that you have yet to collect that you need for your collection? That's
Oh, geez. I was just gifted Conan #1
oh
from
wow.
my fellow YouTuber, Sleepy Reader.
Aw,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah, but you know what I need? I'm missing one Hawkman. That is Hawkman #4. That it's pricey, you understand?
Hmm.
And I'm known for not spending a lot of money on a comic, but it's
Hmm.
it's pricey because it's the first appearance of Santana,
Oh right.
and that is Hawkman issue #4. But I have the facsimile. But that it'll show up when it's good and ready, when it's meant
Yeah,
to be.
you find it
That's
in the
the
wild.
whole. That's the hunt, man. That's the
That's
hunt. The hunt continues, my friend.
that's awesome. Well, I
Yeah.
can't think of a better word to leave it on. Anything coming up you want to discuss on your show that you want the listeners to know about?
What am I going to discuss? I'm going to discuss Andre with graphic histories. That's what I'm going to discuss.
Oh,
No, everything funny. I that's what I found out. I'm a funny guy.
mm,
That's what I found out by recording myself.
yeah.
my wife, she was introduced. She liked me because I was funny. But
Yeah.
when you find out when you're married for a long time, the things that they used to like about you piss them off. No.
Yeah. Well, familiarity breeds contempt, as they say.
Right. But no, I'm just gonna continue showing my books and looking for the laughs, baby. That's what I'm all about.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to tuning in. You got a new subscriber today, so
Thanks, pal. And
awesome.
I always say read your comics because they make you smart.
Ah, beautiful. Well, thanks, James.
You're the best,
All
pal.
right. Have a great night.
You too.
There you have it, my conversation with James Higgins of Higgypop Comics on YouTube. Very fun chat with a very cool guy. And sometimes you have things in life gives you things. It hands you something that you may not have expected. You may have went looking for one thing, but you may have found something else instead. And sometimes, often I find that other thing you find, you need it more. And I think my conversation with James was exactly what I needed at the time. It was a long, hectic week. I had a lot of work to do. Just trying to organize some stuff around wrestling and other stuff that I do got a little complicated and hard on the head. So it was very refreshing to have a nice, fun conversation with an energetic personality about something we both love dearly, and that is comics. So great chat, great conversation, and a really fun guy. So go check out his YouTube series, Higgypop Comics. You can find it on YouTube. I'll put a link there in the socials at some point, so you can follow it from there. But thanks, James, for being in the show. If you're listening, I hope you are. And thanks to you, gentle listener, for tuning in once again. Another episode will be airing next week. Don't have that recorded yet. Have a list of people, so it'll be one of them, hopefully. And if you're missing me and during the following week, you can always check out the back catalog of X-Rated, the X-Men Anime Review Show, in which Davin and I talk about X-Men comics and X-Men TV, mostly the X-Men animated TV show from the 90s. But once we finished up that in X-Men 97, we went on to do all the movies. Then we went on to do X-Men Evolution, which is what we're doing now, which has finally picked up, season 3. Well, the end of season 2 really put it in its good place for the stride of what's to come, which I was very excited about. So it feels like the show is finally becoming what I want it to be, which I'm excited about. So get into that. Looking forward to that. But in the meantime, stay safe, have fun, read some comics, get on that front porch, that back porch, that deck, enjoy nature, and read a comic while you're out there in it. Have fun. The Graphic Histories Podcast is a proud partner of the United Federation of Podcasts.